What if everything you thought you knew about the INFJ personality type was only half the story? We all know the INFJ, the advocate, the empathetic counselor, the idealistic dreamer who feels like an old soul. They're the rarest type, right? But what if I told you, within that already rare 1%, there's an even rarer subspecies, a type of INFJ that doesn't just break the mold, they shatter it. They're not here to hold your hand, they're here to execute a mission you might not even understand. Today, we're diving into the controversial, often misunderstood world of the Sigma INFJ. This isn't your typical introvert versus extrovert chat. We're uncovering 10 surprising habits that create a canyon of difference between the Sigma INFJ and the typical INFJ. If you've ever felt like an INFJ, but found you didn't quite fit the soft, gentle stereotype, pay close attention. You might just see yourself in this video, and trust me, the comments section is going to be on fire with this one. Let's dive in. Alright, first thing first, comfort with conflict. Let's start with one of the most jarring and seemingly contradictory habits of the Sigma INFJ, their relationship with conflict. This is where they shatter the INFJ stereotype into 1,000 pieces. The typical INFJ is renowned for being conflict-averse, almost to a fault. Their deep desire for harmony and their ability to feel the emotional ripples of discord mean they will go to extraordinary lengths to avoid a confrontation. They are the peacemakers, the appeasers, often sacrificing their own needs and boundaries to smooth things over. They operate as if conflict is a fire that must be smothered immediately at all costs, even if it means letting their own boundaries burn. The Sigma INFJ possesses a radically different philosophy. They have made a crucial distinction that changes everything, the distinction between drama and necessary conflict. Drama for them is emotional chaos without purpose, ego-driven, cyclical, and ultimately pointless. They avoid drama as fervently as any INFJ. But necessary conflict, that is an entirely different tool. The Sigma INFJ sees necessary conflict as a form of social surgery. It is a precise, calculated, and often calm intervention designed to cut out a problem before it festers and infects the entire system, be that a relationship, a project, or a principle. While the typical INFJ is walking on eggshells, the Sigma INFJ is preparing to perform an operation. They can deliver a hard truth not to inflict pain, but to remove a tumor of misunderstanding or correct a breach of integrity. Their approach is not emotional. It is analytical and direct. They state the facts, outline the boundary violation, and present the consequences with a chilling clarity. This can be misinterpreted as coldness, but in reality, it is a higher form of respect. They respect the situation, the principle, and even the other person enough to address the issue head-on, rather than allowing it to rot beneath a facade of false harmony. For the Sigma INFJ, avoiding a necessary confrontation is the real act of cowardice and disrespect. It's choosing temporary comfort over long-term health. So, when faced with a boundary crossing, do you seek to soothe the situation, or do you see it as a chance to surgically remove a problem? Is conflict a fire to be feared, or a scalpel to be wielded with precision? This is a defining difference. Tell me in the comments. Do you relate more to the peacemaker or the pragmatic surgeon of truth? And next up, the unconventional appearance. We now come to a habit that is subtle, often subconscious, but incredibly telling, the way they present themselves to the world. This isn't about vanity, it's about nonverbal communication and energy management on a profound level. The typical INFJ often has an aesthetic that can be described as warm, approachable, or softly authentic. There's a gentle intentionality to their style that makes them seem like a safe harbor, someone you instinctively feel you can open up to. Their appearance is an extension of their empathetic nature, designed to put others at ease and facilitate connection. The Sigma INFJ, however, approaches their appearance with a different goal entirely. For them, their style is not just personal expression. It is a functional tool, a form of psychological armor, and a sophisticated filtering system. They are masters of what I call non-verbal boundary setting. You'll often see Sigma INFJs adopting a more defined, sometimes unconventional, or even slightly intimidating aesthetic. Think a consistent palette of dark colors, sharp lines, a signature piece of jewelry or clothing, or a resting facial expression that is neutral and uninviting. This is not an accident. This conscious curation is a preemptive strike against unwanted social energy drain. It's a silent, broadcasted message that says, "My energy is valuable. Approach me with purpose, or do not approach me at all." The all-black outfit isn't just a style choice. It's a uniform that signals a focus on internal processes over external frivolity. The unique accessory isn't just for decoration, it's a litmus test for the observant. The neutral, composed demeanor isn't a lack of emotion, it's a shield against the chaotic emotional bids of others. While the typical INFJ uses their appearance to open doors for connection, the Sigma INFJ uses theirs to keep the drawbridge raised, lowering it only for those who have proven their worth or who align with their mission. It is a highly efficient way to weed out superficial interactions before they even begin, preserving their cognitive resources for the deep, meaningful work they are here to do. So, the next time you see someone whose style seems intentionally unapproachable, consider that it might not be aloofness, but a brilliant strategy for self-preservation. Is your wardrobe about comfort and connection, or is it a calculated defense mechanism? The answer might be more strategic than you think. Let's discuss the power of aesthetic boundaries in the comments. Third on the list, emotional observers versus emotional sponges. Now let's dive into what is perhaps the most liberating and misunderstood difference for the Sigma INFJ, their relationship with emotion. This is the trait that most often causes Sigma INFJs to question their own identity because it directly contradicts the most famous INFJ stereotype. You've always heard that INFJs are emotional sponges, right? That they absorb the feelings of everyone in the room until they are so saturated they can barely function. Well, that's only half the story. That is the reality of the typical INFJ. Their empathy is primarily affective. It's about feeling with the other person. It's a beautiful, selfless, and utterly draining gift. They don't just understand your pain, they take it on and make it their own, often leading to severe empathy fatigue and burnout. But the Sigma INFJ has evolved a different, far more sophisticated defense mechanism. They haven't lost their empathy. They've weaponized it through detachment. Theirs is a state of cognitive empathy that operates more like a skilled surgeon's scalpel than a sponge. They can analyze an emotional situation with breathtaking clarity. They can look at you, listen to your words, and understand the intricate web of why you feel what you feel. They can pinpoint the root cause of your anger, your sadness, your joy, often better than you can yourself. The critical, controversial difference is this. They observe and analyze the emotion without necessarily feeling it themselves. It's as if they have a permanent psychological Teflon coating. The emotional energy of others hits them, and instead of absorbing it, they let it slide right off. This isn't a sign of coldness or a lack of caring. In fact, it's because they care so deeply about achieving their mission and maintaining their own sanity that they've built this fortress. They understand that to be of any real, lasting help, they cannot afford to drown in the emotional tide. They need to stay on the shore, clear-headed, to throw the lifeline. So, while the typical INFJ jumps into the ocean to save you, the Sigma INFJ stays on the boat, analyzes the currents, and devises the most effective way to pull you out. One method is not inherently better than the other, but one is far more sustainable for the individual. The question is, which resonates with your experience? Are you the one who gets wet, or the one who builds the rescue system? Let us know in the comments. Fourthly, the solitary mission versus the collective cause. We now arrive at the very foundation of their being, their purpose. This is where the paths of the typical INFJ and the Sigma INFJ diverge dramatically. While both are driven by that powerful, innate moral compass, a deep, often painful need to make the world a better place, their methods for achieving this could not be more different. The typical INFJ is the heart of the collective cause. They are the harmonizers, the advocates who believe in the power of unity. They work within groups, organizations, and relationships to build consensus and achieve a shared ideal. Their strength lies in their ability to gently guide the tribe, using their profound empathy to make everyone feel heard and valued. They see change as a collaborative effort, a beautiful symphony that requires every instrument to play its part. But the Sigma INFJ is the ultimate lone wolf on a solitary mission. They look at the collaborative process and see something else entirely: compromise, inefficiency, and the slow dilution of a pure vision. They operate from a place of radical self-trust, following an internal blueprint that they believe is more accurate than any external consensus. For the Sigma INFJ, the mission is everything, and the mission is personal. They are not trying to guide the tribe, they are operating from a command center that exists only in their own mind. They are the strategist who works from a hidden base, influencing the battlefield through calculated, often anonymous, actions. They might be the anonymous writer whose words spark a movement, the coder who develops a system that helps millions, or the thinker whose ideas only gain traction long after they're gone. The key is that they are answerable only to their own conscience. Recognition is not just unimportant. It is often seen as a distraction, a liability that threatens the integrity of the mission itself. So, while the typical INFJ builds a better world through connection and community, the Sigma INFJ builds it through isolated, unwavering focus. One is a gardener tending to a communal garden. The other is a lone archer, firing a single, perfectly aimed arrow into the future. The goal is the same, a better world, but the strategies are worlds apart. This is the first and most fundamental sign. Ask yourself, do you work best as part of the chorus, or are you the one writing the score in solitude? Drop a comment below. Mission or tribe? Which one is your natural state? Fifthly, the rejection of social rituals. Now we arrive at one of the most visible and often misunderstood habits, their approach to social obligations. This is where the Sigma INFJ's rebellious streak becomes impossible to ignore. For the typical INFJ, social life is a complex dance of duty and desire. They feel the weight of expectations deeply. A co-worker's birthday party, a distant relative's wedding, a mandatory team-building event, these things are draining, often profoundly so. But the typical INFJ will frequently endure them. Why? To preserve harmony, to avoid causing offense, to maintain the social fabric. Their empathy extends to the potential disappointment of others, and they will sacrifice their own energy to prevent it. It's an act of emotional labor, a tax they pay to keep the peace. The Sigma INFJ, however, looks at this entire social contract and sees a fundamentally flawed system. They perform a ruthless calculus of energy investment versus return. They ask a simple, brutal question. What is the logical purpose of this interaction, and does it align with my core objectives? If the answer is no, the decision is made. They will not attend. And this is the crucial part. They feel little to no guilt about this refusal. Their no is not delivered with malice, but with the calm finality of a judge issuing a ruling. It is a polite, firm, and non-negotiable boundary. They view most obligatory social rituals, meaningless small talk, forced celebrations, perfunctory gatherings, as psychological vandalism. It's not just a drain on their battery, it's an active vandalism of their inner peace and creative potential. While the typical INFJ might see skipping an event as a social failure, the Sigma INFJ sees attending a pointless one as a personal and strategic failure. They are often labeled as aloof, arrogant, or antisocial. But from their perspective, they are simply being efficient custodians of their most valuable resource, their focus. They are not rejecting connection, they are rejecting empty performance. They are conserving their energy for the few, profound connections that truly matter, and for the solitary work that defines their mission. So the next time you feel that dread about a social event, ask yourself, are you hesitating out of fatigue or out of a principled rejection of the ritual itself? The answer might reveal more than you think. Sixthly, leading from the shadows versus the quiet guide. Let's talk about leadership, but we have to redefine the term entirely for the Sigma INFJ. The classic description of an INFJ leader is the quiet, inspirational guide. This is the typical INFJ in their power element. They lead from within the group. They are the coach who gently coaxes the best out of each team member, the therapist who helps a group find common ground, the mentor who inspires through personalized, heartfelt encouragement. Their leadership is felt directly, a warm, guiding hand on the shoulder of those they are helping. It's relational, personal, and deeply empathetic. The Sigma INFJ operates on a completely different wavelength. They are not guides on the path, they are the architects who design the path from a distance. Their influence is not about direct, personal inspiration, it's about indirect, systemic impact. They are the definition of leading from the shadows. You may never even know a Sigma INFJ is influencing you. Their leadership is anonymous, often working through ideas, art, systems, or code, rather than through personal presence. They are the anonymous blogger whose manifesto changes public opinion, the developer who creates an open-source tool that empowers thousands, the strategist who plants a seed of an idea in the mind of a more public figure. The Sigma INFJ has zero interest in the spotlight, the title, or the credit. In fact, they often view the trappings of traditional leadership as a trap, a distraction that corrupts the purity of the mission. Being the public face means spending energy on managing perceptions, egos, and politics, energy that could be spent on the work itself. For them, true power is influence without liability. It's the ability to shape the outcome without being a recognizable figure in the process. They are the invisible hand that steers the ship, not the captain standing proudly on the deck. So, the question isn't whether you're a leader. The question is, what is your medium of influence? Do you lead through personal connection and visible guidance, or through anonymous, strategic action that changes the game itself? This is a profound distinction. Share your thoughts below. Do you crave the recognition of a guide or the silent satisfaction of an architect? And seventhly, we've got the Pragmatic Idealist. This next habit gets to the very core of their resilience and is a key reason why Sigma INFJs can seem so enigmatic and unshakable. It all revolves around a fundamental paradox: the relationship between their sky-high ideals and their feet-on-the-ground relationship with reality. Both the typical and the Sigma INFJ possess a powerful, visionary idealism. They can see a better, more harmonious, more just world with stunning clarity. It's their North Star. But when this perfect vision collides with the messy, flawed, and often brutal reality of human nature, their reactions could not be more different. For the typical INFJ, this collision is a source of profound pain. It can lead to what's known as an INFJ door slam, a drastic, final cutting off of a person or situation that has consistently violated their core values. This reaction, while a form of self-protection, stems from a kind of disillusionment. Their idealism is pure, but it can be brittle, like a beautiful piece of glass. When reality hits it too hard, it fractures. They can become overwhelmed by the hypocrisy, selfishness, and injustice they see, leading to periods of cynicism and withdrawal as they struggle to reconcile their vision with the world as it is. The Sigma INFJ, however, is what I call a pragmatic idealist. Their vision for a better future is just as intense, perhaps even more so because it is so fiercely protected. But their approach is radically different. They do not expect the world to be good. They start from the assumption that the world is flawed, that people are capable of great selfishness, and that disappointment is not an exception but the rule. This isn't cynicism, it's strategic realism. They build their idealism on this foundation of hard truths. Instead of a glass sculpture, their vision is a fortress constructed with the materials of reality itself. They anticipate betrayal. They calculate for incompetence. They have contingency plans for human frailty. This means they are never truly surprised or devastated when things go wrong. A setback is simply data, a variable they had already accounted for in their grand equation. This allows them to pursue their mission with a relentless, calm determination that can appear almost cold to an outsider. They don't waste energy on despair. They redirect it into adaptation and problem solving. The typical INFJ is the poet mourning the world that could be. The Sigma INFJ is the engineer, sleeves rolled up, building it piece by piece, using the stubborn, imperfect materials right in front of them. So, when your ideals are tested, what is your response? Is it a crisis of faith or a strategic recalibration? Let me know which one you relate to more in the comments. Eighthly, information hoarders, not sharers. This habit delves into the private intellectual world of the Sigma INFJ, and it fundamentally challenges another classic INFJ trait, the desire for deep sharing conversations. For the typical INFJ, conversation is a primary currency of connection. They are the masters of the deep, one-on-one dialogue. where they use their insights as a bridge to another soul. Sharing a profound realization or a piece of personal wisdom is an act of intimacy and trust. Their mind is like a beautiful, well-kept garden, and they enjoy walking others through it, pointing out the sights and sharing the fruits of their contemplation. This exchange is how they bond and feel understood. The Sigma INFJ, in stark contrast, is a voracious information hoarder. Their mind is not a garden for visitors. It is a vast, private, and heavily fortified library. They are compulsive collectors of knowledge, consuming information on philosophy, psychology, obscure sciences, and complex systems with a relentless hunger. They are building an internal database of unparalleled depth and connectivity. However, and this is the critical difference, they are incredibly selective, even possessive, about who they grant access to this library. For the Sigma INFJ, sharing a deeply held insight with the wrong person is not just a waste of energy, it feels like a violation. It's like handing a rare first edition book to someone who will use it as a coaster. They have a keen sense of the intellectual and emotional capacity of others, and they will often play their cards very close to their chest. To casual acquaintances or in group settings, they may appear quiet, simple, or even uninterested. This is a strategic misdirection. They are conserving their most valuable intellectual resources. When a Sigma INFJ does choose to share, it is a deliberate and significant act. It means you have passed a rigorous, often unspoken test of worthiness. It's not about connection for connection's sake. It's about a strategic transfer of knowledge to someone who can truly comprehend its value and perhaps even help advance the mission. So, the question is your mind a public park for meaningful strolls, or a private library with strict entry requirements? Do you share to connect, or do you hoard to protect? The way you handle your knowledge speaks volumes. Ninthly, the switch-on, switch-off social mode. This habit reveals a fascinating difference in the very mechanics of how these two types manage their social energy, and it's a masterclass in psychological efficiency from the Sigma INFJ. For the typical INFJ, social interaction follows a predictable and often exhausting cycle. Their energy is like a battery that depletes steadily in social situations. Afterward, they require a significant and often prolonged period of solitude to recharge. The drain is gradual, and the recovery is slow. There's a lingering social hangover where they need to process the interactions, replay conversations, and decompress from the sensory overload. It's a passive process of depletion and recovery. The Sigma INFJ, however, has engineered a more dynamic and controlled system. They don't just have a social battery, they have a social switch. Their default state is profoundly off, a deep, contented solitude where they are fully integrated and recharged. But when a situation aligns with their mission or a core goal, they can flip that switch to on with intense, laser-focused intentionality. This isn't just being sociable, it's a high-performance mode. In this state, they can be incredibly charismatic, perceptive, and engaging. They might ace a crucial job interview, deliver a powerful presentation, or provide unwavering support to a close friend in crisis. The critical difference is what happens the moment the goal is achieved. The typical INFJ's energy drain continues to ripple after the event ends. But for the Sigma INFJ, the performance has a definitive curtain call. The moment they walk out of the meeting, hang up the phone, or leave the event, the switch is flipped back to off. The social persona is instantly deactivated. There is no prolonged hangover, no slow decompression. They return to their baseline state of solitude as if closing a book. This ability is often mistaken for being two-faced or inauthentic, but that's a fundamental misunderstanding. The on mode is not a fake version of themselves. It is a highly specialized tool they deploy with purpose. It is a conscious, draining effort, but one they can start and stop with remarkable discipline. They don't let social energy leak out slowly. They channel it in controlled, powerful bursts. So the question is your social energy a slow draining battery, or is it a focused beam of light that you can turn on and off at will? Do you need time to recover from socializing, or can you compartmentalize it the moment you're alone? This level of control is a hallmark of the Sigma. Let us know which model sounds more familiar to you. Last but not least, the core paradox. So what's the core of the Sigma INFJ? It's the ultimate paradox, profound universal caring expressed through detached, often solitary action. They love humanity as a concept, but find individual people exhausting. Their empathy is cognitive before it's emotional. They are the strategists, the architects, the invisible guardians. They are not better or worse than the typical INFJ. They are a different expression of the same complex personality code, forged in different fires. If this resonated with you, if you saw yourself in these habits, you're not broken. You're not a flawed INFJ, you might just be a Sigma. This is a conversation starter. The comment section is the real video. I want to hear from you. Are you a Sigma INFJ or a typical INFJ? What did I get right? What did I get dangerously wrong? Debate it down below. Let's get this video to the people who need to see it. If it resonated, hit that like button, subscribe for more content that digs deep into personality psychology, and I'll see you in the next one.